Welcome. Today, we're going to dig into some timeless wisdom about money and mindset, and it all kicks off in a place you would never guess.
Okay, so stick with me here. What on earth can a dentist from way back in 1931 teach you about your finances today? I know, it sounds kind of random, right? But believe it or not, it's a ton. And it all boils down to this one wild story that completely flipped the script on how we think about professional advice.
All right, so let's set the scene. It's 1931. A guy named Clarence Hughes walks into his dentist's office. And what happened next? Well, it kicked off this huge shift in how we think about getting advice from experts, a shift that has a super important lesson for every single one of us and our money. So here's what went down. Hughes goes in complaining about some simple mouth pain. While he was under anesthesia, the dentist, without his permission, removed all 16 of his teeth and his tonsils. A week later, Hughes tragically died from complications. But here's the kicker, the part that changes everything. His wife didn't sue for doing a bad job. She sued because he never, ever agreed to that procedure in the first place. It was all about consent. This story, as tragic as it is, really shines a light on a huge philosophical change, one that took decades to really take hold in medicine, but man, does it apply directly to how we should all be thinking about our money. See, for the longest time, the old way of thinking was simple. The doctor's job, treat the disease, period. The thinking was there's one right answer, one cure-all, and the doctor knows best. Your opinion? Didn't really matter. But over the last half century or so, that's completely changed. The focus shifted to treating the patient, not just the illness. It's this recognition that, hey, different people have different goals, different values, and different ideas about what's actually worth it for them. And that brings us right to the heart of it when it comes to your money. I can't tell you exactly what to do with your money because I don't know you. There is no one-size-fits-all prescription. It just doesn't exist.
And why is that? It's simple, really. Just like your health, your financial life is deeply, deeply personal. Your goals, they're yours. Your timeline for when you want to retire, totally different from the next person's. And how much risk you can stomach, that's your call. So the real goal here isn't to find some magic formula and follow it blindly. Nope, it's about understanding the core principles so you can apply them to your own unique situation.
Okay, so keeping that big idea in mind, that it's all personal, let's dive into our first set of lessons. And these are all about mindset. We're talking less about spreadsheets and more about what's going on in your head.
First things first, let's get our definition of wealth straight, because it's not the flashy car, it's not the giant house, it's not the stuff you see on Instagram. Real wealth is the stuff you don't see. It's the financial assets, the stocks, the bonds, the investments that you haven't turned into stuff yet. It's the money that's quietly working for you in the background. I love this simple formula for it. Saving equals your income minus your ego. Think about that. The more you feel the need to spend to show people how well you're doing, the less you're actually going to have. Building real, lasting wealth is all about taming that ego, resisting that urge to buy the next shiny thing. So, okay, if the goal isn't just to pile up the most stuff, then what is the point? Honestly, it's about being able to sleep at night. The best financial plan for you isn't necessarily the one that promises the highest possible returns. It's the one that you can stick with. The one that gives you peace of mind. Because at the end of the day, that's the real dividend that money provides. It's not just more stuff, it's control. Control over your own time. That's the ultimate prize, right? The ability to do what you want, when you want, with who you want. That is the highest form of wealth there is. All right, so we've got the mindset down. Now let's get practical. Let's talk strategy. How do you actually put these ideas into action? Okay. When it comes to growing your money, there's one single advantage you have that's more powerful than anything else. It's not about being a genius stock picker. It's not about having some complex algorithm. It's time. Seriously, just time. The single most powerful lever you can pull to get better results as an investor is just to give yourself a longer runway, a longer time horizon, because time lets that magical force of compounding do its thing, and it gives you room to make mistakes, which, let's be real, you're going to make them, and still come out ahead. And this next idea is such a huge mental shift, but it's so important. When the market goes crazy and your portfolio drops, that's not a fine. You're not being punished for doing something wrong. Think of it as a fee. It's the price of admission. It's what you pay to get the amazing long-term returns that the market offers. The trick is being willing to pay that price without panicking.
And here's a perfect example of why just sticking around is so critical. Look at this. You can literally be wrong on half your investments and still do incredibly well. How is that possible? It's because a tiny handful of your investments, your big winners, will likely account for the vast majority of your gains. Your job is just to stay in the game long enough for those big winners to show up and work their magic. So, how do you stay in the game? It all comes down to building a strategy that's resilient, that can take a punch. So, step 1, just save. Save money. You don't always need a grand plan for every dollar. Just having cash on hand is a superpower. Second, build yourself a buffer, a margin of safety. This is what gives you the endurance to stick it out when things get rocky. And number 3, and this is maybe the most important, avoid ruin. Avoid any single risk that has the potential to take you out of the game completely, because if you get wiped out, you can't play anymore. Okay, this brings us to the final and maybe the most important rule of them all. And it's all about making sure you know what game you are playing. You have got to ask yourself this question and be honest. When you see some day trader on Twitter bragging about a risky bet, or a billionaire making some massive move, is there a part of you that thinks, hey, maybe I should do that? You have to remember, they are playing a totally different game than you are. Their game is not your game. So the big takeaway here is to just respect the mess. It's totally fine. It's normal even for smart, successful people to completely disagree about money. It's not that one of them is right and the other is an idiot. It's because they're playing different games with different goals. And guess what? Your goals are going to change over time too. So try to avoid making these extreme, all-or-nothing financial decisions that a future version of you might really regret. Which leads us to the ultimate question, the one only you can answer. What game are you actually playing? What does financial success even look like for you? Are you trying to buy a house in 5 years, or are you investing for retirement in 30? Is your main goal to squeeze every last penny of profit out of the market, or is it just to have enough to sleep peacefully at night? Only you know the answer. Because when it comes right down to it, that's the only thing that matters. So stop looking for the one right answer. It doesn't exist. The best financial plan on the planet isn't some secret formula. It's the one that works for you, the one that fits your life, your goals, and lets you sleep at night. That's the game worth winning.